In this video, I'm going to show you how to qualify for crypto pre-IPO shares. That is right, crypto companies are launching en masse on the New York and NASDAQ stock exchanges. And with financial trading for Robinhood, they are allowing us users to get in on the early access before the actual IPO day. Of course, it's not financial advice and IPOs have their own risks, but right now crypto projects that are launching to exchanges are doing really well. Robinhood's made it very simple with 4 simple steps to follow. Number 1 is following the upcoming IPOs for notifications and updates. Number 2, starting a request for how many shares you would like for that particular IPO. Step number 3 is to confirm the final price, and this is a very important step. Because if your final price is below what the initial public offering price is, you're going to miss out on all of your requests. And number 4 is very true. Just keep your fingers crossed because not everyone gets access to these IPOs. The amount of shares you get has nothing to do with the below. Your order size, the balance of your Robinhood accounts, the brokerage account age or value, or if you have their premium gold status. None of that matters. The 2 things that do matter for your IPO shares and how many you will get is investor demand and the number of total available shares that Robinhood will get themselves. If there's high demand and they don't get many shares, then you probably won't get a lot. And the opposite may happen. If there's low investor demand and Robinhood gets a lot of shares, you may get all your requests fulfilled. And here's a visual representation of some previous launches of Robinhood that they decided to share with the public. You can see all the requested amounts for these particular IPOs, how many shares were issued to Robinhood itself. On number 2, you can see based off the 4 IPOs listed that 41% of customers got 1 share or more. Simply meaning that this IPO, everyone got 1 share. Duolingo, Figma, and this particular company that's called You, which makes it confusing. 24% got 1 share, Figma 15% got 1 share, and Duolingo 25% got 1 share. And we look at the last visual, it shows that 26% of requests were filled completely. So for this particular IPO, RSKD, you had a 50% chance of getting all your requests of allocations fulfilled. Duolingo 22%, Figma 14.5%, and this last one 17.3%. Basically, every IPO is different depending on how much demand there is and how many shares Robinhood gets. To find the IPO list is fairly simple. All you have to do is go on the homepage of Robinhood.com after you create an account for yourself. Simply type in the letters IPO and you'll see right on the bottom here that there is a list called IPO Access. Go ahead and click on that. Depending on when you're watching this video, the name of this particular landing page could be different, but as of now, it's called IPO Access. And here are the 3 IPOs available to Robinhood users. We can see right now that 2 out of the 3 companies listed are crypto companies. Gemini Brokerage, which is one of the top 2 brokerages for cryptocurrencies in all of the United States, and Figure, which is a blockchain lending company for HELOC loans on your house. These are the companies that are coming up, and you can see what the launch dates are by clicking in on any of the companies. And we could take a look at previously launched pre-IPO opportunities for Robinhood. We can see that here, there's crypto company called Bullish, backed by Peter Thiel. We also have Figma, which is not a crypto company, but they do have Bitcoin on their asset sheet. And Circle, which is the stable coin that did over 3x out the gates. So we can see that the last 3 crypto related IPOs have done really well. Okay, let's say we're interested in the Figure IPO that's coming up. Go ahead and click in on that. And all you have to do is click on I'm interested. You have to confirm your eligibility, meaning that you understand IPOs are a little bit risky, and make sure that you're not in a circle of FINRA restricted applicants where you cannot trade these types of assets. After agreeing to those, you will see access in the terms of requesting the shares that we talked about here on the right-hand side. Now, you can do this on mobile also, so that platform and dashboard will look a little bit different. But let's say before we request the shares, you want to learn more about the company itself. You can click on Show Prospectus, and basically this is the S1 document provided to the SEC for this IPO. It's plenty long and packed with information, has their breakdown of profits, loss statements, assets, all that jazz. I'm not going to get into this one because there is a lot. But after you've done your assessment, then make sure that you submit your request before the expected IPO day. For this one, it is projected 9/11/2025. This is very interesting if you want to see more information that is more digestible than perspective, and that is the roadshow. What a roadshow is basically that. The company hits the road trying to raise money from VCs. What I like about the roadshow information provided, that it is easily digestible in slideshow format, and this one is in video format. These are the materials that they present to VCs as they make their pitches to raise money for Figure, and they will sell pre-IPO shares to those VCs. Here we can see a 43-page document going over their board, their projections, which may or may not be actually bullish, but they're always going to paint it in that light so that they can raise a lot of money. In any case, with the hard data provided about the profit and loss statements and their assets under management, we get to a price range determined by the underwriters, usually big banks who underwrite this IPO. Now, here's a very interesting part. This is very dynamic. This is the price range, meaning $18 to $20. So you can make your maximum bid between this range or even above this range. So let's get into that right now. So if you request a number of shares, it will be based off of this price range, or like we mentioned, higher. You can see here that they automatically put in a higher price. And we just hover around the question mark, we can see why they did that. They want to provide a max price plus a 20% buffer should the price range go above your initial offering. Again, I repeat myself, not financial advice, but definitely utilize that buffer. I missed out on a Circle IPO because I did not utilize the 20% buffer. I just stood pat at the price range that I saw right here, which was between, well, it was a different price for Circle. I fell out of range, which meant that the shares that I wanted to buy at a set price, the IPO came out above my set price. So obviously I didn't qualify because I wasn't willing to pay that set price, which the IPO came out at. So I missed out on the boat completely. Now, just because there's a 20% buffer doesn't mean you're safe. That price can go above the buffer, which then Robinhood will alert you of in the form of an email or notification on the dashboard. But personally, I would not trust Robinhood's alerting system or email. I would personally come in here and check a day or two before or the day before of the IPO to make sure that you're in range. Because what happened to myself and many other people is that we got an email and a notification 9 hours after the IPO that we were out of range. And this was for, yes, Circle, the USD stablecoin that went IPO that did a 300% out the gate. So we completely missed out because we trusted Robinhood's notification system. Learn from my mistakes. A very important thing to know is that let's say you request for 10 shares, which is $240, you must have that buying power available. That means you must have that cash deposited into the your Robinhood investment account. After we selected the number of shares, you have to select the price type. Here they put in the price range, which we mentioned about. $18 to $20 is the range provided by the underwriters. They're going to take this top band of $20, add 20%, which is $4. So that's 20 plus $4, and that's how they got to this $24 max share price. So let's say you don't want to miss out like I did. You somehow got inside information, or you know that this will come out at $30, $40. You can put in $30 as your max price. Now, that's your estimated cost. And if the final price does come out at $30, then yes, your $300 will be fully utilized. But let's say that the actual share price is the $20 as mentioned here. You're going to get billed the 10 shares times the $20, which would be the $200 versus the $300 that you max estimated. And there we have it. It brings us back to the how allocation works page, which we went over earlier, that you're not going to get 100% of your requested amounts. Potentially, there's some where you may get 100% allocation, but they're just forewarning you that even though you requested 10, you may not get 10. You may get 26%, which was the average that we saw. So go ahead and click, don't show this again, or you can show this again and start the request. And here we're at the final stages. I'm making a conditional offer to buy 10 shares. Not to worry if you confirm this and you want to edit it, because there will be an edit button even after you confirm it, as long as you change that before the IPO date, which is, you see there a few days away from the time that I'm recording. Which you look at that, I am wrong. That's why we do these tutorial videos. They could not accept a request that is 20% higher than the current price range, which is between 14 and 40. So the maximum that you can request in terms of price is at a $24 strike price. Very simple. Go back here, change our maximum price, or just, click on the price range, which is already the maximum, 240, review it, confirm it. And there we have it. Expected date of random allocation is on the date that's mentioned there. It's obviously going to be different by the time you see this video. And if you are seeing this video before Figure launches, just know that this is not financial advice. This is just all testing. I might change my allocation. I might not even participate in this particular IPO. And here you have it. You can see right here, after I've confirmed and submitted everything, I can also still cancel the request and edit the request. If you go back to the main IPO homepage, you will see that you can still participate in other IPOs as long as you have the buying power to do so. You can see that it's reflected my updated buying power availability, it will take the money from your account as if it's not there. So keep that in mind. If you do need to cash value for something else, then don't participate in IPOs, because when you do make a request for a number of shares, they will take that buying power away and allocate it for that particular IPO. As you can see right here, Gemini has a very different price range. They don't have the roadshow slide deck because everyone knows Gemini. People are probably trying to throw money at Gemini. They don't really need money per se, but they are going to raise billions of dollars to potentially do more things. But they do have the prospectus, the S1 filed with the SEC. So if you do want to crunch some numbers and assets and whatnot, I know I'm scrolling pretty fast here, you can go ahead and take a look at that. If you want to see the full T's and C's, just go into Robinhood Help Center, and underneath investing, there's IPO Access that give you a laundry list of T's and C's. One thing I do want to share with you is that you will be immediately able to sell these shares once the IPO hits the open market. Sometimes it takes a few hours for Robinhood to get their shares, so do not worry or be concerned if you don't get your shares immediately. But you will get them, and you will be available to sell them. However, there is a flipping policy, meaning that if you sell them before a 30-day maturing process, you don't have to abide by that. You can sell it immediately. They may bar you from participating in other IPOs for the next 60 days. So that's just an FYI. It's not a hard and fast rule. I know individuals and also myself who has sold shares of IPOs immediately same day that I received them, and I have not been barred, but everyone's miles may vary on this. And I don't do options, but some people do ask about them. There are options available on IPO shares, but it may take up to 3 days after the company goes public for that. As we mentioned, there's a lot of different financial products and features that you can see here in the T's and C's sections of IPOs, but it really doesn't get more complicated than what I just already showed you. Personal tip for everyone, if it is a hot company like a Circle for USDC or a Gemini exchange, which not many are, then personally, I would put in a bigger number of shares knowing that I probably will not get 100% fulfilled, because it is a lottery system and you will get a smaller allocation. Then personally, I believe that the size of your allocation does matter, because the way that they divvy up is usually by the number of allocations and the number of shares that they actually receive. And that typically is just computer generated. So, if you do have a big request in terms of shares, they say you don't get a bigger piece of the pie, but I beg to differ. I've seen that I get bigger shares of the pie if I do have a bigger allocation. Correction. Allocation request. I'm not automatically guaranteed allocation. And if you really watched it, and here's a super tip for you guys, if you utilize SoFi, you can also participate in their platform's pre-IPO. If you really like that IPO, you can kind of double dip. You apply through Robinhood, you request shares, and you could do the same thing through SoFi. Completely two different entities. It may better chances for getting some shares. I believe SoFi probably has less people applying for shares underneath their platform because they're relatively newer to providing IPOs to the customers than Robinhood, which is much bigger. And definitely check out financial platforms or institutions that utilize that may or may not provide IPOs now. And if you want more access, more shares, you can potentially apply through those as well. That's it for this video. Ask us any questions below. If you have any, make sure you follow us, and we'll see you guys on the next one.